Hi, this is Lori of Lori's Happy Stamps, and welcome to Fun in the Sun Paper Pumpkin July 2023. I had a lot of fun making these 3 cards, and I tried with all my might to stick with the cards that they gave as samples, but you'll see I didn't do such a very good job. I really enjoyed the stamp set, and I think that the sentiments are perfect. You'll see them used throughout my projects. And I also added some current kind of fun in the sun stamp sets that we have, which are Circle Sayings, Sea Turtle, and Waves of Inspiration. So you'll see some of those pieces sprinkled throughout my cards as well. So I think I have 8 or 9 samples to share with you today, and then I also have some bonus samples that I came up with. So let's get started. Let's look at our first card. Our first card is, this month I really wanted to focus on techniques. So we are focusing on techniques. So this is kind of a blocked technique, and I have used my Stampin' Blends to make stripes that kind of emulate what are the stripes that are on the envelopes. And then for this envelope, I just block printed the 4 sentiments, and I did the same on the back of the envelope. So what I did for this is I blocked my 4 pieces, my 4 sentiments all on one block, and inked it up all in one color ink. And I started in the top left-hand side, then I did the bottom right-hand side, then I turned it and did the top right-hand side, and turned it again and did the bottom left-hand side. I snipped off a little bit of the surfboard piece where the sand is. I bumped it up on dimensionals. I cut one of the flip-flop pieces apart, so I had 2 separate flip-flops, put one of the flip-flops in the grab and one out on the sand. I think it's a really cute card. So that is our card number 1. And we used a regular card base, white card base. I used, again, that piece of surfboard and trimmed it down, and then the crab and the flip-flops. So that's what I needed for this card. And now the second card is actually, I made 2 cards at the same time. I made this card, and I made this card. So for each of those cards, I used one piece. Can you tell what it is? I used the umbrella and the pail and beach ball, and I cut them apart. So let me show you what I did on these cards. So for these 2 cards, I used a regular card base from my own stash, and I ran it through the embosser to get these bumps, and I used the basic 3D folders to create that. And on this card, I simply stamped the background. And then I stamped one of the Circle Sayings and colored it in. Then what I did is I took this piece and I cut this sand piece off, and I used it in a later card, and I cut right around the ball right here. So the pole of the umbrella isn't quite straight then, but when I put my sentiment in front of it, you can't tell at all. then I added one of the pelicans from the Waves of Inspiration. All right, so very simple to make 2 cards out of 1 piece from the card set. So those are cards 2 and 3 made at the same time. And now we'll move on to card number, is it 4? I think so. Alrighty. So for card number 4, I actually tried to copy the back of the Paper Pumpkin Alternatives. This one right here. And it's similar, except my stripes are a little bit thicker. And I just did that because I have a bunch of these little strips left over when I cut down my cardstock, and I keep them. So I've used 2 of those. They are a 1/2 inch wide by 5.5 inches long. And I glued them to the back of this piece right here. So I used a piece of Pool Party to make my card base, which is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5. I used one of these Adirondack chairs. I used some flip-flops. I used these 2 pieces, and I used a white piece for inside, which is 4 by 5 1/4. I used these 1/2 inch by 5.5 inch pieces. And then I also, using another technique, I embossed Sending an Ocean of Love with white. And then I will cut those pieces apart to create the card. So what I did is I glued these 2 pieces on the back of this piece first, and then I glued the whole piece flat onto the card. I then stamped the starfish, and I bumped up the Adirondack chair, bumped up the flip-flops. Then I cut apart my sentiment, and I snuggled it in using dimensionals as well. For the inside, I just put a few pieces, a few stamps of the starfish, and I was done with that card. So that is card number 4. So now card number 5. Again, I did a little bit of copying from the back, the sample. But this is mine, and it's my shaker card. And what I did is I have a regular card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I used a piece of white that's 4 by 5 1/4. I used just a piece of leftover designer series paper that was 5 1/4 inches by 1 inch, and I tore it to give it kind of a sandy look. And then I used the sea turtles, and I stamped them on old DSP with the pecan pie, and then I just fussy cut them out. And the way I did this is I used, and for the envelope, I did a little sea turtle on either side, which I thought was cute. So for this card, you need the card base. Like I said, you need some little sequins, and I used the dimensionals that are in long strips, and I have 2 that are 5.5 inches and 2 that are a little under 4, about 4 inches. And I'm going to build my front. And so I also need a piece of acetate that is 4 by 5 1/4. And so basically I stamped my starfish randomly on my card base, and then I glued flat my large turtle, and then I laid them right in the middle, and I laid my sequins right in the middle, and then I put let's see, what did I do? I put the sequins in the middle, and and then I glued my 4 pieces of Daffodil Delight together to make a frame. I put the strips of dimensionals on all 4 sides, and I glued the acetate to the back of that frame. Then I put on the strips and then laid it on. So there's a little, you can see that there's some dimension right there. And then your guys shake, okay? And then I just added one of the umbrella pieces to the front. I stamped another one of those turtles and cut them out, and then glued them flat onto the acetate and the strip, and then added the waving hello. I love this card. I think it's very cute and bright. So that's how you do card number 5. Card number 6 looks like this. And so you'll say, oh, Lori, that looks just like the card that we, that's the sample. And you're right, except I did add a little turtle, and I used 3 dimensions. I did do 5 little jewels instead of 3. But what I did is I took a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch basic white, and I used my brush, and I did Pool Party right across the top of this, just kind of in a random, just Pool Party, just like this. And then I glued it to the back of the fun fold. And the reason why I did that is I needed more writing space. So I created more writing space by adding that piece on the back, and I got to practice another technique using my blending brushes. So that's the first card like that. And then card number 7 is again using the sample from the kit. I added my own little cloud in the back, and this time I used boho blue. And even though it's not a suggested color that goes with it, it goes with it really well. So again, I took my 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I used my boho blue, and I just blended it right across. I made it look kind of cloudy. And then I glued it to the back of the pop-up so that I had all of this real estate then to write on. And I like the extra dimension in the back. So that is card number 7. So let's see, we're moving on to card number 8. I think I left this from the first card. I did. All right, I'm still here. Card number 8 is, again, using the technique of the blending brush. I did the same thing. I made the card, and then I added that panel in the back, just using a piece of white cardstock, and I used Lemon Lolly for this one to get the lighter color that kind of emulates this light color in the background here. Lemon Lolly is back here. So blending brush right on there, glued it on the back, and then I've got this card with a nice area to write on the back. So that is that card. And then I think we're up to 9 cards now. I don't know. This was, again, using the card base from, or the card sample from the back of the Paper Pumpkin, the alternative. I did keep this one this way. So there isn't a lot of place to write. And I don't know, are you supposed to write in there? I'm not sure. I like to write. So I did keep this one this way because it just is cute. And I did copied the alternate, but I did add a sea turtle here because I just think they're cute. And I had some stickers from an old designer series paper pack that had seashells, and so I added that. So you can add whatever you have around, and don't forget to, get the stuff that you've held on to for a long time. Use it. You need to use it. Okay, and all of those, if you need extra bits and bobs and you are a subscriber of Paper Pumpkin through me, you get a package like this in the mail that says, "Thanks for subscribing, and here are your July bits." And we will be putting these cards together on August 4th, I think it is, which is our next Zoom party. And I wanted to leave you with 4 more that I came up with. So I had some card bases that were left over. And what I did is I cut them up. And I made, I think, some really cute note cards that I haven't put any sentiments on yet because I don't know if they're going to be birthday or congratulations or safe travels or welcome home or have a good summer. They're just really cute. Again, used circle sayings for the envelopes, and I used the bright designer series paper for the flaps. So there's the Daffodil Delight card. And then I did one in azure blue. And so I added my own little, what is that called? Sea turtle on the front. And then I used the Waves of Inspiration for the envelope. And on the next card, I used the Melon Mambo. And on the Melon Mambo, I used one of the, again, Waves of Inspiration stamps and die cuts. And I used the sea turtle on this guy with the Melon Mambo Designer Series paper. And the last one I did in Granny Apple Green. And again, I had some of those stickers from that old Designer Series paper and added one of the sunglasses with a little bump up. I think they're really cute. Then I added the Circle Sayings stamp on the front and the back. So there you have it. 12, I think it is, maybe 13 alternatives. See you if you are subscribed with me on August the 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Have fun and enjoy your fun in the sun.